Good evening. We begin in Durban this hour, where ratepayers are now complaining about municipal bills. They say the errors related to free water for some 50,000 households persists. Municipal officials say an agreement was reached with ratepayers who in December received invoices of up to 8,000 rand for erroneously having received free water for 3 years. The city earlier said it was a technical glitch and apologized to affected customers. eThekwini now says there was a technical error which the city did not pick up on their system, and it was giving away six kilometers of free water every month for several years. For more on this, we now speak to Asad Gaffar, Chairperson of the eThekwini Ratepayers Protest Movement, and he joins us via our video link. Asad, thank you so much for joining us this evening here at SABC News. Perhaps just paint a picture for us and just tell us the extent of the problem when it comes to your rates in the eThekwini municipality.
Thank you for having me. The issue with this particular problem affects about 49,000 households, mainly the poor and the elderly. And the city is now claiming back 3 years worth of funds from these individuals. Majority of these individuals can't afford this repayment, and they are up in arms. They're very upset, and they've approached us, and we've, on behalf of them, we've been speaking to the city. We have had 2 meetings with the city. There's a lot to be ironed out in terms of why the city didn't pick this up earlier. And then also in terms of their calculations, how did they arrive at this figure? So there's still ongoing discussions with the city, and once that is finalized, we will then advise our members in particular in terms of what needs to be done.
Asad, why are residents of the eThekwini municipalities now seemingly being forced to pay for an error that has been conducted by the municipality itself?
That's exactly the contentious point at the moment with most of these residents who've been affected. And more of a concern is that the initial report that came out from the city indicated that a majority of these individuals have been receiving this free basic water since 2010. We're talking about 13 years that the city was totally not aware, according to them. And this was brought to their attention by the Auditor General. It was only when the Auditor General made reference to this free basic 6 kiloliters of water, then only the city realized that there's been an error. And in our meeting with them this past week, the explanation that they gave seemed a little bit flimsy or wishy-washy. We can't understand exactly how it is that they were unable to pick this up. In fact, if you look at the bills that were issued to these particular residents, whilst the city is charging them for this back billing of 3 years, on that same bill, they're still giving them another 6 kiloliters of water. So it's a major issue. I mean, we're trying to understand exactly where this error came about. Why was it not picked up? Who are the people that were responsible for this error? And has any repercussions instituted against these individuals?
Asad, how concerned are you when it comes to the transparency of the now billing of the water in the eThekwini municipality? If you are saying that it dates back as far as 2010, so how do we even know that they are being quite particular here when it comes to which households owe how much?
You're raising a very good question, because what we need to understand that this free basic water originally was tied to an indigent policy. If you go back and you look at eThekwini, at the time when they started to give free basic water to residents in eThekwini, the city actually won some accolades for taking the bold stance to give this human right to the indigent. And it was something that the city was proud about. And now, 13 years later, the city is now saying, wait, hold on, some of you, we were not supposed to give you this water, and now you have to pay back. And I'm talking about residents from Mlazi, Kwamashu, Claremont, Phoenix, Chatsworth, Stanger. These are poor people. I mean, majority of them are pensioners. They don't even understand the bill. We've raised this issue in terms of trying to interpret what you are liable for. And we've raised this, that this bill is very complicated. Many people don't understand it. In fact, in one of the interviews with the mayor, he even made mention that you need an accountant to make a head or tail of this bill that comes from eThekwini.
And what are the community members saying? I mean, you are saying that some of them are very poor and, they come from households where maybe people are not even working and they're unemployed. What are they saying when it comes to the confusion surrounding these bills? And, do you have some who are even willing to make some sort of payment to the city?
Yes, yes and no. So the majority who are so-called indigent, I mean, they made it very clear. They are saying it's not our error. We are refusing to pay. The city cannot force us to pay. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there are some individuals who do not qualify, and we've managed to establish that. I mean, these are individuals who are coming from affluent areas. Their properties are well above the indigent range. I'm talking about properties from 1,500 to about 2.2 million rand. And these individuals acknowledge that, yes, they do need to make, or they're willing to pay back the city, but they're also saying, make it fair to us, and also make it easy for us. So there's two sides. There's those individuals who do acknowledge that they have to pay the city back, and they are willing to pay the city back. We've managed to negotiate a good settlement, but obviously we're still busy talking with the city. But part of that settlement plan is that these individuals who acknowledge that they are liable, they won't have to put a deposit down, and the repayment will be 180 rand over 36 months. And they do believe that this is fair. It's something that is manageable for them. So for these individuals, they don't have issue. But again, like we're saying, a lot of individuals are actually pensioners, and single income households. They are simply saying we can't even afford a repayment of an additional 20 rand. And that's what we still need to sort out with the city.
And when it comes to those households, if the city is not willing to meet you halfway, or understand that some people simply just cannot afford to pay the city this amount of money, what then will be done? What do you plan to do for those people in which you are representing in the eThekwini municipality?
In Bali, in all fairness, I have to be honest. When we met with the city manager 2 weeks ago, they were quite receptive. They opened to discussions. In this meeting was the CFO as well, and they are willing to, to be approached. They're not saying everything is cast in stone, and they are willing to treat those exceptions. They do believe that the process is flawed. And they've given us that opportunity to make representations for those individuals who have a genuine and a solid case. I can confirm that we did take a few of these cases to the city, and they did take it seriously, and they have rectified some of the errors. So in that regard, we need to say that the door of communication is open. And I hope that it stays open in the interest of the city and in the interest of these individuals who are affected, because we want to reach an amicable solution. In the first meeting that we met with the city, we did acknowledge, and it's in all fairness, the city does require funds to function. Yes, there is the issue of corruption and maladministration, which also needs to be dealt with. But as responsible citizens, we also need to ensure that the city functions.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we will hold the city accountable for any maladministration or for any corruption. We won't hesitate to do both.
Asad, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. Certainly a pleasure speaking to you. That is Asad Gaffar, Chairperson of the eThekwini Ratepayers Protest Movement.